What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo. And today I thought we'd talk about Ailey, a character that isn't a meta by any means. I mean, when it comes to fire damage dealing characters, it's going to be S. Karenina. But Ailey really is a solid character. And I've mentioned this before when it comes to A rank characters, is that you can just farm for these guys. You can level them up, you can max them out, you can give them the triple S pluses. It's going to take you a long time, but you can get them in there. And my Ailey is triple S, right? He is a pretty jacked up character. And the beautiful thing about this character, really amongst a lot of characters, is that you can build them multiple ways depending on how you prefer to play him. But Lee is actually really great because, he plays super well with two different memories because one, he's a fire damage dealing character. So there's one memory that lends himself for that. But he also will do the most damage, obviously, when you're doing a bunch of 3 pings. And whenever you're doing 3 pings, you can actually just use Hannah memories. It's really up to you how you prefer to play this character. I mean, with the Hannahs, with a 4-piece Hannah, I mean, it's just easy to go into your 3, like you'll do a 3 ping and you'll dodge, you'll go into the matrix, you do a 3 ping, and then it counts as another 3 ping and it puts you in the matrix again. It actually increases your survivability and actually works really well. It's not the optimal set for him as far as doing damage, and you guys can see I do have 2 Einsteins. These are not resonated for him, these are actually resonated for other characters. But if you really want to play him optimally, or not play him optimally, but if you want to have the optimal sets for him, then you're going to want this Shakespeare set. You're going to want a 4-piece Shakespeare set because this is actually going to have a 50% chance to inflict burn for 5 seconds when attacking a burned enemy, right? There is a 20% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 100% fire damage on a 5-second cooldown, right? Reduces the target's fire resistance by 8% and deals 12% fire damage per second. And this can be stacked up to 3 times, right? That is an extra 36% fire damage, right? And that fire resistance going up to 24%. That is big. He's going to do a lot more damage using a 4-piece Shakespeare instead of a 4-piece Hannah. I just don't have this set, so that's why I'm not using it. And you'd really want a 4-piece Shakespeare, and then I would probably slap 2 Darwins on him on top of that. Because the Darwins can actually give him, for each orb ping, extra damage bonus increases by 3% for 4 seconds. So you're going to get a lot of extra damage from having the 2 Darwins also on him. But we're going to go with the 4-piece Hannah with the 2 Einstein. Now, I wouldn't run with the 2 Einstein if I had S-Nonomy. If I had S-Nonomy right here, if I had this character, then I would just have, whatever set on her with 2 Einsteins, right? But Einsteins only work with the corresponding element, right? So if you have it on an ice character, it's only going to buff up the ice resistance. If you have it on a fire damage dealing character, it's only going to buff up the fire resistance. So having a set like that on, a fire damage dealing character like Nonomy, using her for a QTE, or for Lee whenever you're doing fire damage, really makes a big difference. But if I had this character, I actually would have Lee built up a little bit different, where I wouldn't be using the 2-piece Einstein. I'd probably go with something else. Since I'd be using this 4-piece Hannah, I'd probably go with these Mozarts right here, which actually, when you get a 2-piece set, extra bonus damage increases by 15% when in Matrix. And whenever you have a 4-piece Hannah, you're always going to be able to go into Matrix. Now, when it comes to playing with Lee, right, and I'm just going to be using his 4-star weapon. His 4-star weapons, when pinging all 3 types of single orbs, within 5 seconds, increases extra damage by 15% for 5 seconds. Duration resets every time it is triggered, right? Resets, I'm sorry. Well, the thing about this is pinging all 3 types of single orbs within 5 seconds, right? So, I mean, you get that 15% extra damage. It's actually pretty good. It's not going to be as good as a 6-star weapon, but I realize a lot of people are not going to have the 6-star weapons, especially like if you're using this guy as one of your mains. You're not using, S. Karenina, like you're not using an S rank character for your against the fire stages like Gabriel, Nozzle, and Pain Cage, the fire damage war zone. If you're using this guy, more than likely you're a free-to-play player and you don't have S. Karenina. I mean, this account I actually do put money in, and I still don't have S. Karenina. But the ideal team would be just to have Lee here, S-Nonomy, and then it would be probably Sophia to have a fire damage healing character, right? And you'd really just want a 4-piece Da Vinci with 2 Guinevere's on your Sophia. She's not that very good of a character. She's just not that strong, but she can aid as far as giving a heal. Although whenever she throws out her heal, she throws out these little energy orbs, and you got to kind of run across and pick those damn things up, which is it's a little annoying, but it's not a real big deal because when you think about it, you're always moving around anyways when you're playing, so it's not really a big deal, right? You're going to get heals over and over and over, but having this Guinevere is going to really buff up that fire resistance down. Now I'm going to be running Ayla instead of Nonomy because I don't have Nonomy, right? And Ayla is really good. Now, Ayla here, I just got, a 2-piece Hannah with 2 Voltaires and 2 Catherines. Now, these are only for physical damage, but Lee is 60% physical, right? 60% physical and 40% fire. So really having this mixed blend of memories isn't a bad idea if you're just trying to use him as your main damage dealer. I mean, when it comes to PGR, there's multiple ways to do things as far as how you prefer to play the characters. This is the way that I'm going to be doing it. But if I wanted to use Ayla as a damage dealer, I would actually have her set up a little bit different than this, but I just want to be using Lee as my main. And speaking of Lee, when it comes to playing this character, guys, I mean, the thing to remember the most about him when it comes to his orbs is his red orbs only deal physical damage and gives him super armor. It's a skill where he's running around and he's shooting everybody and you can move him around. This is something that's really nice because he can actually move. And the reason that's really nice is because whenever you're talking about range attackers like Lee, Espionka, they have one less dodge compared to a melee attacker. For example, Alpha, Lucia Plume, they'll have like 5 dodges available for them doing consecutively. Whereas a character like Lee, he's only going to have 4. And believe me, that one less dodge does make a difference as far as playing. You have to be very, very careful. And the fact that this character can move around when you're using your third skill, whenever you're using your red orbs, really does help. It helps you avoid certain attacks on the ground and maybe an attack by the other character, especially if you're already in the matrix and you're moving away. It's really, really nice, but it only deals physical damage. Now, his yellow orbs are awesome because they always deal fire damage. No matter what, they always deal fire damage. So whenever you're setting up your team for him, and you're going against a stage that is weak to fire, whether it's Gabriel, Nozzle, and Pancage, or the fire zone in Warzone, you're going to want your character that has a Da Vinci set, in my case, Sophia, to be in the yellow orb slot because you want to be doing your yellow orbs always to do fire damage. That way you're going to be getting a lot more fire resistance down from using the Guinevere sets on Sophia and the Isona set on whether you have it on Nanami or whether you have it on Lee here, right? It's just going to apply a lot more damage, doing a lot more fire damage, especially in them stages that are weak to fire damage. That's really important. And his blue orbs are really cool because they only deal physical damage. Now, you're probably wondering, why is that cool? Well, it's really cool because early on in pain cages, like, you know, your test zone, your first 2 or maybe even 3 levels of pain cage, this guy can do one shots. I've made videos about it before. And the reason you can do one shot, especially with blue orbs, is because blue orbs only do physical damage. And physical damage can actually crit. If he crits, he will do an insane amount of damage doing a 3-ping blue. I mean, he can literally pretty much one shot. And if you're using him for that reason, then you want to just have physical debuff memories on your tank characters or your healers, right? But whenever you're going against stages that are weak to fire, then you're going to want to have, you know, memories like the Guinevere, the Isonas that actually reduce that elemental resistance, right? Depending on what you're trying to do, depends on how you really want to approach using this guy. So like early on in pain cages, if you're just using him for those early one shots, then you want to be just using your blue orbs and you would just want to have physical resistance downs, memories on your other characters. If you're using him in the fire zone and against Gabriel and against Nozzle, then you're going to want to use Guinevere's on your healer and you're going to want to use Isonas on your tank character, unless you're in my situation where you don't have Nanami and you have to put your Isonas on Lee. So that's something that makes this character pretty cool, is that you can actually use him a couple different ways as far as like his fire damage and his physical damage. Basic attack, you know, no big deal. Signature move. Signature move does a lot of physical damage and then it deals a lot of fire damage at the end, which is really, really nice. His QTE really doesn't matter because you're mainly going to be using this character as a main. He is an attacker. And then you get the extra damage here. And then you have his core passive. Now, this is where his red orbs can actually do fire damage. So whenever you ping a yellow orb, right, just 1 yellow orb or 2 yellow orb or 3 yellow orbs, it doesn't matter. The next red orb will inflict blast blast. Bullets explode after hitting the target, dealing a certain percentage of fire damage to the enemy in an area. So, like I said earlier, whenever you use your yellow orb, right? Use your yellow orb and then go into your red orb to do a lot of fire damage, because once you do that yellow orb and you have, say, Sophia in the yellow slot on your team, well, you're going to have the Da Vinci on her. She's going to come in. She's going to apply the Guinevere. And then you can hit your red orbs afterwards and still apply all that fire damage while that fire resistance is up. And you will do pretty nutty damage, guys. I mean, he's not top tier by any means, but he is a solid character, and he does have a really good leadership. Increase all party members' physical damage by 5% and elemental damage by 5%. It's actually a pretty good leadership. And then his double S passive right here, when hitting enemies in a burned area of an infernal shot, extra damage increased by 15%. And then his passive extra damage bonus increased by 15% before taking any damage. Has a cooldown of 10 seconds, and then whenever you give him a triple S plus, his extra damage bonus of core passive, which would be godly for him, controlling bullet increases by 20%. So every time you do your core passive at triple S plus, this guy gets a 20% increase in his damage, which is a lot, guys. I mean, he will do nutty power. So I'll just show you guys like a little bit of a preview as far as how you'd really want to play this character, and then I'll show you guys an actual run where we do get it done. And like I said, this is a team that I'm going to be using. If I had S-Notomy, I would actually have her in this slot. And again, your Da Vinci character, if you're trying to apply fire damage, you want your Da Vinci character, the character with Da Vinci set on him, in the yellow slot. So watch this, man. He can do some pretty insane damage, depending on the orbs that you get. What we want is we want a yellow orb and we want a red orb to start off with, right? That's what we want, essentially, to do the most damage here. So we got kind of screwed here, so we're going to try something. Right, we're going to apply a blue, we're going to apply fire, and we didn't get a red orb. Right, and, whoa. Okay, watch out. Now what I want to do is I want to try to go into the matrix again and use that yellow orb. Right, just like that. And look at that damage, guys. Not bad at all, but you got to be real careful with your dodges with this character. And you can see my dodges are about out, right? So we're going to go ahead and use our signature here, right? And I did get hit there, right? And we're going to back up. There we go. And like I said, I mean, if you're trying to keep the character in there, it's really sketchy. But you can see how we got it done, guys. I think I only got hit once, right? I mean, Lee's a really solid character, right? It's just really important when you're trying to apply fire damage to have your character with the Da Vinci set in the yellow slot. That way, every time you do your yellow orbs, your Guinevere's are coming in, your Einsteins maybe on your tank character are coming in all at the same time. All those debuffs are coming in at the same time. And you're going to apply that much more fire damage, especially if you do a red orb afterwards to enter his core passive. But I really love Lee. I just think he's a really fun character to play. And he really is a decent alternative if you don't have S. Karenina. Obviously, he's not going to be as strong. He's not going to do as much damage as her. I mean, a regular S. Karenina will do more damage than a triple S Lee. And that's just facts, guys. That's just the way it is. S rank characters are just going to be stronger than A rank characters. But the beautiful thing about this guy is, one, he's just super fun, and he's really easy to farm, which is an advantage that all A rank characters have over S rank characters. So let me know what you guys think about A. Lee, and I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT+7 time. The link is in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody.